Hey, what is going on, guys? So today we have episode 4 of the new series on the channel, maybe not so new anymore, of anti-vegans embarrassing themselves online, carnivores debunking themselves online. It, covers all kinds of things like that. If you haven't seen episodes 1, 2, or 3, I strongly recommend watching those as well, so I'll have those linked in the description. Let's get right into this absolute cringe. So somebody posts animal protein without harming the animal. Good meat comes to America. So I think they're just posting some cultivated meat here, which is pretty cool. And somebody comments tumor skewers, I guess implying that these are cancerous. And then Beans comes and says, what are the histological hallmarks of a tumor that this fulfills? And then Raw Egg Nationalist, one of the biggest geniuses on Twitter, says immortality is the big one. And then Bean says, you don't know what histology is, do you? If you don't know, histology is the study of diseases and tissues through a microscope. And you could definitely observe immortality through a microscope. So here we have somebody saying, I'm going to slaughter one of my chickens tonight in your honor. And if you go to their page, it says they are a follower of Jesus Christ, a father, a good old country boy, and an animal enthusiast. Yeah, I'm sure Jesus would be very proud of you murdering animals in response to people defending animal rights. Very Jesus-like and noble of you. And here we have an animal farmer going against cultured meat because we have to kill meat to eat it. He says, nope, can't make meat without death. Even cell cultured meat had to be killed to eat. Bean says, what do you mean killed here? And then Brandon says, when the group of cells have reached desired size and type, the cellular material is removed from the controlled environment, which kills, harvested, slaughters the cells, and then can be packed for human consumption. Bean says, yeah, and what's the issue here? Those cells are muscle cells and are as sentient as a cabbage. Yes, we have an animal farmer who actually grows and kills sentient beings concerned about cells being killed. So I guess he's not really for animal rights, but he's for cell rights. Fascinating. So we have this post from the Lazy Nutritionist that says there is a direct correlation between increased carbohydrate intake and increased mental health issues. It's time to recognize that blood glucose control is vital for all humans, not just those with diabetes. And then we have a vegan who commented, source, it occurred to me in a dream. And then the person who made this post said, nope, plenty of research on this topic. Chris Palmer, MD, is a great source of info on mental health and the way diet can help. This particular piece was inspired by research presented in a podcast episode of ATP Science on extreme diets recently. Go check it out. And then MHG says, could you point me to any primary material? Telling me to check a doctor on a podcast isn't a strong chain of evidence. And then he ended up actually finding the paper and says, okay, I found it anyway, and the paper isn't even examining your claim. You claim that carbohydrates worsen mental health. The paper is examining the research about keto diets and mood and anxiety disorders. They found the evidence quality poor and the studies uncontrolled, with the majority simply being case reports. No wonder you didn't want me to link what you're talking about. Beautiful. And then we have Sam Mahol, the MVP of the entire series, saying if you want to maximize the nutrition in the diet, eating more steak usually covers all the bases. And then he has the, Drake meme, getting your vitamins by eating the rainbow. No, getting your vitamins by having a steak. Yes. And then Bean shows that he'll need some more rainbow, showing that he'll be deficient in folate, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. So here we have Robin Woodford, who's responding to me acting as Joey Carbstrong's admin on his Facebook, citing some data supporting vegan diets on PubMed. And then he responds saying, PubMed is not a factual data site. It's worse than Wikipedia. Anyone could post a thing on there. Do your research correctly and get peer-reviewed citations. So I asked him and said, okay, please post a study in PubMed to prove what you're saying. And I mentioned that everything I posted was peer-reviewed, which it was. And look at that. I'm still waiting for him to post something on PubMed. Amazing. It's almost like you can't just have anyone post something there. And then Sam Mahol again over here saying veganism is a cult that promotes self-harm for the benefits of no one except the pockets of big food and big pharma. And then Bean says these are the top 20 profitable pharmaceutical products. Veganism is secretly a global master plan by the lizard pharma people to sell 1% of the population B12 supplements for $10 a year. And then Beans continues to come with the wreck and says the entire B12 market is $280 million in 2021, or about 1/16 the size of the number 20 on this list in 2015. Even assuming only vegans are responsible, your point is already hilarious, but only 1/3 of B12 is supplements. And here we have Veganella calling out Samahol on a contradiction as to what veganism is. She says, this is what you said, and now you're shifting to least harm. So which is it? He said, veganism rejects the fundamental law of nature that you can't have life without death, and that makes the rest of its ideology fall apart. And then here's another case of him saying, because it, and he's referring to veganism, blatantly fails to follow through on its principle on causing the least harm. No contradiction whatsoever. And here we have somebody commenting against vegan mock products saying, it's the weird man-made cheap chemicals mixed to a sludge and sold as a burger for me. Soy isn't great for women either, so skip that and save the soy for the pigs so we can eat those tasty things. I said, nice buzzwords and no health outcome data. He says, is it up to me to leave a monologue or readily, easily to find data? I said, it's up to you to substantiate your claims. If it's so easy to find, just send it. I'll start with mine. And to my knowledge, acknowledge he didn't send anything in response. Beautiful. And also I mentioned that the Beyond Burger is soy free, so his comment about women isn't even relevant. This person named Nate the Great says lab grown meat is disgusting. Real meat is better. I said, have you ever tried it? Because most people have not tried it. He says, yep, disgusting. I said, from where/when? And then he said, if you have to ask, then you probably aren't practicing what you preach. And then this vegan says, not knowing your specific meal timeline means he isn't following through. Bot logic. I agree. But yeah, guys, I guess if we don't know where and when Nate the Great is consuming cultured meat, we're not following through on veganism. Veganism is about knowing when and where Nate the Great is consuming cultured meat. So Ken Berry, the carnivore doctor, retweets this carrot cake smoothie and says, this nutrient poor, high carb, quote, smoothie won't increase milk supply. It's deficient in vitamins A, D, E, K2, and iodine at the least. So this is why you should fact check everything people say. I looked at the ingredients of this smoothie and found that you get 206% of your daily requirement of vitamin A, but you know, never mind, you're deficient in vitamin A, like he said. So this person against cultivated meat says, failing to meet those nutrient requirements will lead to deficiency and ultimately disease. And this vegan says, so what essential nutrient is in traditional meat that is not found in molecularly identical lab-grown meat? They say, I'm not convinced it is molecularly identical, precautionary principle in effect. And the vegan says, they have looked through many microscopes and done extensive chemical tests to verify it's identical. Whether you are convinced or not, there are actually times when you should believe experts. And they say, I reject the reductionist view of the world that makes what you say here true. Part per trillion can change biology. And then Baboon Watch says, do you think nutrients matter at a part per trillion resolution? And if you genuinely believe that, what laboratory apparatus do you use to measure your food? And then here we have Dr. Sean Baker say that when it comes to actual food, the protein in actual animal products is far superior to that of plants. But if you look at the actual study, they didn't equate protein. They just went off of per ounce of each food being used that's considered high protein. The conclusion of the paper even says that this research demonstrates that the word equivalent and the ounce equivalent unit of measure for protein foods does not apply to the protein content and postprandial essential amino acid bioavailability of these foods. And yeah, if you look here, they went off of ounces, not grams of protein. So yeah, Sean Baker cites a study and says the protein in animal products is far superior to that of plants according to the study, when the study did not even look at protein to protein comparisons. They just looked at foods that are generally considered high protein that are plant and animal products and went off of their ounce weight as opposed to the actual grams of protein in each food. Amazing. And here we have Sama Hole saying, I fast for 14 to 16 hours a day. I don't try and push it. That's just how my day naturally lines up. And then says a 16-hour fast isn't really a fast. It's what everyone should be doing naturally. So a 16-hour fast is and is not a fast. Amazing. Here we have the carnivore police saying that the best argument against vegans is to look at them. Most are depressed, suffering from various health issues, afraid of the sun like vampires, have dry skin, and are bloated. It's a reason 84% quit. If you want to sacrifice your health, go vegan. If you want to thrive, go carnivore. So I responded to him saying that if you actually look at the study you're getting that 84% figure from, you'll find that the vast majority of vegans and vegetarians, by the way, did not quit because ill health. Waiting for you to delete/correct your tweet now. And you'll see here it says that 71% of former vegetarians/vegans experience none of the above, and the above are a bunch of health problems. And then it goes on to say, it is quite noteworthy that such a small proportion of individuals experienced ill health. I've yet to see a retraction or even a response from carnivore police regarding this error of his. Amazing. And here we have the carnivore police responding to a picture of Nimai Delgado and Simon Hill looking very jacked, saying, dry skin, red inflammation, the same pale ghostly looking skin that all vegans tend to share for some reason, not to mention the overzealous eyes. What is this supposed to be doing for you? And why are you posting other men's bodies as if that makes up for your inadequacies? And this is what the carnivore police looks like, but he has all this to say about the physiques and body of Simon Hill and Nimai Delgado. This person responded to my meme here saying, hey dumbass, the point is that the ingredients listed is what we have to add ourselves after taking it directly from nature. So obviously he's implying that his cow is natural. So I said, didn't know your artificially selected for animal was directly from nature. Please explain. Yeah, when we artificially inseminate cows and artificially select for them to be a certain size and also inject them with antibiotics, those cows are just directly from nature. And here we have me asking the carnivore police if he thinks that the carnivore diet can cure inflammatory bowel disease. He says, of course it is. The carnivore diet resolved my health issues as long as it is followed correctly. I said, define correctly. He says, many carnivores think the diet includes inflammatory milk and fruit. That's why you guys get off on an Instagram page where people follow incorrect applications of a diet due to the massive amounts of misinformation out there, like Paul. I guess he's referring to Paul Saladino, who also eats fruit and honey. Anyway, he says, I've yet to see anybody not resolve all their health issues eating just ruminant meat. So I said, okay, explain this. And it's a person with inflammatory bowel disease who had a flare-up while on the carnivore diet, who does not consume any dairy and just consumes meat. And what's funny is I got this from the page he was talking about previously, Carnivore Cringe. And then he just sends them cope response saying, how do you know they're not eating fruit? And how do you know they're not consuming processed meat, it's pretty obvious he's going to continue to move the goalposts every time we give him a satisfactory example conflicting with what his claims are. But anyway, I responded saying, didn't know that carnivore meant fruit. Makes sense. And I said, let me see if I can ask him for you. So I'm in the process of asking that carnivore if they also only consume processed meat. So I'm going to try to track down that carnivore and see if they were only consuming unprocessed red meat. We'll see. But we all know that even if they were, and I mentioned it to him, he would just say some other shit. Anyway, guys, that's the end of episode 4 of anti-vegans and carnivores debunking themselves, embarrassing themselves, etc. Thank you so much for watching. If you support my work and want to get early access to it, you can click the link in the pinned comment and support me on Patreon. And if you don't know, I do have a book going over most, if not all, of the anti-vegan arguments you're going to hear online. If you want to get that as well, that'll be linked in the pinned comment. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Dude.
Fuck off. I don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever speak to me again. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who's your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude,